Hey everybody, in this video we are going to work together to answer the question, how can you solve 2 by 1 multi-digit division problems using the standard algorithm? We've done a lot of work already this unit with partial quotients, and now we're going to jump into a method that I'm sure that your families used when they were learning how to divide these big numbers, because this standard algorithm is also known as long division. So when we solve long division problems, we're going to use a mnemonic device, which is a way to help us remember something. We're going to use something that has been passed down over years and years and years of long division work, and that is, does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers? Well, of course they do, but does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers actually stands for the steps in long division. And so those steps are to divide, multiply, subtract, check, and bring down. I'm going to show you how to use these steps in the first problem. I have 55 divided by 3. Now, I'm going to be dividing first. And the way I'm going to divide first is I'm going to say, well, how many 3's can go into 5, this first digit 5? Well, that's pretty simple, and it's 1. So I'm going to place a 1 right over the digit that I first divided. So I've taken care of the first step. My next step is to actually multiply, and some of you might find it helpful to put a little X over here, maybe circle it, as another reminder to multiply. And I'm going to multiply 1 times 3, and I'm going to put my answer right down here. And I know that 1 times 3 is 3. So I've gone ahead and now I've multiplied. And you have to keep in mind, everybody, that you want to line up your work really, really, really neatly so that you don't confuse the steps. Now I'm going to subtract. And I know that right here, 5 minus 3 is 2. So now I've subtracted. My next step is to check. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to check and see, are there any numbers that I haven't dealt with yet in this problem? And in this case, there is, and it's a 5. So I'm going to take, I've checked so far, and now I have to bring down this 5. And I'm going to put a little arrow right here, and you'll be able to draw an arrow. But I'm going to bring down this 5. Okay? So I'll check that off. You're going to notice now that my does McDonald's sell cheeseburger helper over here is now empty. And the reason why it's empty is that because I have another number that I have to still divide, this 5, in the ones place, I'm going to start this process over again. So I'm going to start with dividing. But now the difference is how many 3's can go into 25. It's a pretty simple problem. And so I'm going to say, well, let's see, 8 works because I'm not going over, and I know that 8 times 3 is 24. So I've just divided, and I'm going to place the 8 right above that 5 in the ones place. I'm now going to multiply and say 8 times 3 is 24 right here. I'm going to place my 24. Now notice again, just as a reminder, how neatly I've lined this up, because now I'm not going to confuse any steps. So I've multiplied. Now it's time to subtract. And I'm going to subtract 25 minus 24. I know that answer is 1. And I'm going to check again and say, do I have any numbers left to deal with up here? And I don't. So I'll check that off. And I don't have any more numbers to bring down. I've already brought down the only one I can, so I will check that off too. And what that means is that my quotient is 18, but I have a number down here. And all of you know that that is my remainder. So my answer for 55 divided by 3 is 18, remainder 1. Now for the first practice problem that you'll do, I'd like you to do this problem along with me as well, because there's one little small change in the steps that we're going to complete. So the problem that I'm going to give you is 49 divided by 6. Okay. Now, just like we did in the first problem, I'm still going to divide, but I have to say, well, how many 6's can go into 4 in the tens place right here? Well, you can't fit a whole 6 into this 4. So instead of writing a number above that, I'm actually just going to write an x. And that x is going to stop me from putting any numbers over there. So I still haven't divided, but I can actually ask myself how many 6's can go into 49. And that's another easy basic fact, is that I know that 9 times 6, that won't work because that'll be 54 and I'll go over. But I do know that 8 times 6 is 48. So I know that there are 8 6's, at least 8 6's in 49. So I will write my 8 right here. So I have divided. Now I'm still going to multiply. Put that x above here, so maybe that will help you remember to multiply. So I know that I'll multiply 8 times 6 will be 48, and I'll put my 48 down here. So I've multiplied. It's now time to subtract. And 49 minus 48, or subtract 48, is 1. So I've subtracted. And I still have to check to make sure, are there any numbers left that I still have to deal with? And there are not. And if there are no numbers left to deal with, there's also nothing to bring down. So I've checked that step off. So, pretty simple problem, folks, that I'm sure that many of us could do in our head, but we want to also make sure that we can show our math thinking with as many problems as possible. So I know that my answer, because I have a remainder down here, will actually be 8, remainder 1. Now, for your final practice problem, I'd like you to practice this on your own. And if you have any questions, please let me know in class. But just as a review, in this lesson, what we did is we answered the question, how can you divide a 2-by-1 multi-digit division problem using the standard algorithm, also known as long division?